welcome inside the Red Earth Production Studios for another edition of YBMcast with Matt and Brian. And today on the show, we have with us Coach Perkins. Guys, how we doing?
Doing great, thanks.
Good.
Good to see you. I mean, we're coming back to a little bit of normal now, right?
Yeah, I think it's been a while since I've been here with Coach.
It is.
Got some great things coming up. Summer, baseball's kind of winding down. Fall ball's kind of past us at this point. We're working into the winter workout tours. We're going to have some good stuff coming out. We're gonna be out at Premier Baseball Academy. Talk with Mike Buda. I like that guy. We're going to be discussing their program this winter. Going to be out at Central Missouri Phenom. We're hoping to get Neil Seidbaum's group. Mm-hmm. We got some good stuff. We're working on getting back over, because St. Louis, there's a new group, Craig Ringy, who was the recruiting director at Southeast Missouri State. He's taken over as director at St. Louis Legacy over at Legacy Sports Academy, or Legacy Performance Academy, excuse me. So we're going to go out there and check out what he's got going on. It's a lot of fun stuff, man. I like the off season. It's almost like, the World Series just finished. What do you guys think of the World Series?
I think it was okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You like the outcome. You're a scout for the Braves, right?
I'm just a bird dog. I'm not getting paid, but yeah, I'm the lowest of the lowest. But yeah.
Hey, that's okay. It's there. Because I see that on your email. I was like, oh, so pull.
Yeah, it was cool. My boss was there.
Was he?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
I was happy the Braves won. I like to see a team that doesn't pay $500 million for a team each season.
Agree.
To win it. Which goes to show you that it's about the team and not just
I want to get you
or buying a World Series.
I want to get you guys' opinion, because this is my opinion, and I believe this very much. I do not believe that the Houston Astros should have even been in the playoffs this year. I'm tired of seeing these guys who we talk about this is cheating, proven, set in place here. How are these guys not banned from postseason play?
You're asking the wrong two people that question.
What's your opinion? Do you think it should have been?
It should have been something.
I think it should have been a little harsher on the suspensions, but you also got to look at what don't we know. If you said, okay, it's kind of like the whole pine tar thing. Mm-hmm. How many other teams are doing what the Astros were doing, and they just got caught doing it?
I don't disagree with that.
So that's why I say I don't know everything. How am I gonna?
Because Boston evidently was doing it too.
I'm sure a lot of them were,
right? So, but
just look at the pine tar thing. I mean, the pitchers are getting stripped when they get off the mound, and that they hate it.
Scherzer was hilarious on that one.
I thought Scherzer was going to punch the umpire.
He was taking his pants off.
Yeah.
But Coach, you're a high school coach here, right? Mm-hmm. Let's put this into perspective. And you're dealing with high school kids and whatnot. Here's the thing that I look at. I understand your point, and I agree with it. But yet, this did come out. It was this team. It was in the premier event of Major League Baseball, right? Mm-hmm. What message do we say? Yeah, they fined the organization, they fired the coach and whatnot. Okay, the players were allowed. There has to be some sort of repercussion to that, to where the players understand. And what message are we sending younger players? Is it okay to do this? I understand gamesmanship, and we understand, a little pine tar here and there. If you get away with it, fine. But what are the rules, and where does that barrier get crossed, and how do you deal with that?
Yeah, I don't know. Astros, they tried to save face, and they got Dusty Baker because everybody really likes him, and he's well respected and just a really good guy. But a lot of those pieces to that puzzle when was going on was still there. It's a tough deal. But if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
That's what I was going to say. They all do it. They just got caught.
Right.
I know stealing signs is definitely, it's always been done, right?
Yeah, but you're talking about stealing signs and doing things based on the availability of electronics that are in stadiums. So if you think this is the first time it's happened, you're crazy. This has to have been happening for years in every stadium.
I agree.
With the technology you're saying, yeah, exactly right.
100%.
Yeah, because you look in the dugouts and you see all the monitors up. They're showing everything that way. I mean, it's there. Mm-hmm. It's the opportunities are there, and you have to rely on people's integrity.
Well, their coach was the fall guy.
Agreed.
Which I don't remember his name. But he was the fall guy. Everybody else was fine. They said the players weren't involved, so they got off scot-free, which, I mean, everybody was involved.
Yeah. And that's why I think as an organization, okay, fine. You didn't strip them of the World Series. Great, fine. Okay, fine. But just to fine them, I think that could have been a little bit better of a situation, especially when you're talking about this level and saying, bringing a message to younger athletes and saying, look, all right, we understand people are going to try and do things. We understand what you're trying to get away. But you know what? In the next couple of years, Houston, you're just not, eligible for postseason.
Yeah, I don't know if you can do that at the Major League Baseball level, though.
It'd be interesting, though, wouldn't it?
Now you've got unions, you got owners that are going to go against the commissioner. That's not going to happen.
SMU got the death penalty, football, college.
In college, yeah.
Right. But college, you're
I understand
at the
what's your
mercy of
point.
the NCAA.
Because then you have that whole bag of worms with the unions. You're taking away. Well, I'm not going to not pay them, but then you have, if you do make it to the off season, there's more money there, right, and all that.
I think they took away some draft picks, didn't they? I think they did stuff like that too.
The organization, I understand what they did to the organization, but in my estimation,
right,
the players. Where does that show? I think there has to be some integrity in that respect towards the players, and the players have to own up a little bit to it. That's just a thought.
Yep.
Yes, but
I think
if they're not going to force them to, they're not going to do it.
And we're sitting here, we're talking about dealing with young athletes, right? At the high school level.
Yeah, but most of the kids that you even have the conversation with that are high school age, they just, Houston cheated and they got caught. That's it. It's not a Pete Rose conversation. It's
I say let Pete in, man.
But you're right. It's just the team cheated. They got caught. Okay, move on. I don't think they can even talk about it.
And then that's the thing. And I'll say, I do this. I let Pete in. Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame. At least he bet on himself. It's wrong, and he got punished for it. He's banned from baseball. I agree. I understand that.
Now they're betting on Major League Baseball online.
Right.
I mean, what is that?
So exactly.
Most hits in baseball. Let him in.
And if you're not going to punish players here in this situation, now I know you don't go backwards, but you have to look at this and what's the difference here?
I think the big thing is they're starting to crack down on a lot of the things that have been exposed. Like the tar and some of the other stuff that was being used. I think the pine tar wasn't that big of a deal because when it was cold, the hitter said, look, if you can have pine tar and have more control, I'm all for it.
I'm not going to get killed.
But the new substance they were using made them spin the ball faster, so it was looking like a wiffle ball at 97.
It's like what the bowlers use. It's a little thing.
Right. I think that was different because it was making the ball do crazy things, where the pine tar just gave them more control. Yeah. So if a guy throwing 96, 97, if he's got control as a hitter, you're saying, all right, I'm all in, let's go. 96, 97, and you don't know where it's going. Doesn't feel good.
Welcome to the minor leagues.
Exactly. Yeah. They've been there, done that. They don't want to go back to that.
Matter of survival. Hopefully they'll get it in the head.
Uh-huh.
And that is a real thing. It was the spider tack is what they were really going. That spider tack that was really that crazy stuff that they were using.
Right.
I mean, it was, and that's usually the case.
Well, we've all seen the movie Major League.
Right.
I mean, come on. Little Vaseline.
Vagisil, Vaseline. He's got Crisco.
He didn't make that up. That came from somewhere.
Hilarious. And I got a little jalapeno, just get my nose running.
Yeah.
That came from somewhere.
Right.
I love that scene. It's hilarious. I ain't got your arm. Yep. And I guess Wayno, that's why he keeps chucking that curveball.
Yeah.
He's good at it.
Yes, he is.
I think that's an interesting conversation. I like the thought process of it. And Houston being in the World Series, I personally am glad they lost. I'm no Braves fan. I'm no Houston fan. I never was. But just looking at this from a just a purely situational standpoint, I think I just there was nothing in me that said, "Hey, these guys, a lot of these are the same people that were perpetrating those things at that level. We found out, why should they still be there?" That's just my thought process. So, all right, moving on. That's good though, man. I love those conversations. We've been talking a lot about districts. We did our shows on, who do you think's going to repeat and whatnot. There was a lot last year because we talked to Kenny Seifert from Misha, and Coach, we're going to do this. We're going to start some polling and some talking about baseball rules, and I've read some of the comments that you've sent along there. I think there's some great information and some great talking points to bring up when it comes to high school baseball. How do we make it better? How do we put things in place? And where are the things that we can do as we move forward to help the conversation, Coach?
I don't really know. The people that keep moving in and out of Misha, you never know who's going to be there. And when you don't get baseball guys in there, that's a problem. I don't know. I mean, at sites, we were talking earlier about, attendance. And, if you're in Springfield, it's great. It's a good sports town. We played in some Final Fours down there and at Meadow Park and did well. But, it's you think you'd want to go someplace where everybody wants to go, like make a weekend of it. Mm-hmm. Even if it's Kansas City, and now all the Kansas City schools are getting artificial turf and got lights, and that's perfect scene, but you need the seating. The perfect place to me, I mentioned it earlier, was at Mizzou. When I first started coaching, it was always at Mizzou, and then they got decent where they had a possibility of hosting regionals, so they got out of it, and then they started bouncing it around. And it was here at Carshill, which T.R. Hughes at one time. And
yeah.
We get a lot of people there, that's for sure. I mean, families come, and then they got St. Louis, so there's something to do.
Right.
You can go to the brewery, you can go to the zoo, you can go to museums, you can do whatever you want to do and make a weekend of it. I don't know what the answer is. I know that the state tournament was probably poorly ran. I was not there, but from talking with people that were there, a lot of people were upset about how it was, with games getting started so late and delays, and they didn't do a very good job of allotting times for games, or even starting early in the morning or 8 a.m. maybe to get some of these games in. I mean, there's things that you can do to make it better, but you have to have somebody who's been around and been in it for a while to, figure it out. Hey, that didn't work last time we tried it, so let's try something new that works. So it's
sometimes
tough go.
Sometimes it is trial and error too.
Absolutely, anything you do, yeah.
Right?
Well, that, or like he said, you need a baseball guy or somebody that's actually can say, "Hey, I've got 6 games I have to schedule. Mm-hmm. I can't schedule 6 games on a Saturday."
No,
because for one, now you're talking about you're trying to pull off a youth baseball tournament on a Saturday on one field, where let's cut the games down at 2 hours. You have 15 minutes to get ready. Let's go get on the field. You're talking about state finals or
with no time limits.
Correct. So it somebody that can actually, it's a baseball person that understands the concept of a schedule, for one, I think is huge. And then location, me personally, I'm not a fan of it in Springfield. I think somewhere Columbia area is the best because it's the middle. Yeah, people can go. Now, I don't know the ins and outs of what Mizzou has going on or contract wise or any of that, but it just if it's in Columbia, you have a middle destination. It pretty much pleases everybody because it's in the middle. It's always in the middle. Mm-hmm. And people can say, hey, from Cape, Springfield, St. Louis, right, Kansas City, Hannibal, wherever you're at, you're going to the middle of the state. And the only teams that truly would benefit would be Columbia teams. But if Howell makes it, you're talking about an hour and a half drive. believe me, people will go. Same from
Yeah.
Kansas City. People will go. Springfield, Jeff City.
I'd say it's probably not much further from Springfield, hour and a half, 2 hours from Springfield to Columbia.
Yeah, it's probably a little more.
Maybe a little more.
A couple, I would say. Yeah, anyway.
It's got to be at least a couple, I would imagine.
I know my sons were disappointed when I got moved to TR Hughes because they wanted to get out of town and get in a motel. So you guys crazy? You can sleep in your own bed.
Now, TR Hughes is a good
Dad.
spot, though. That's a good place. But again, people consider, will say, okay, it's in St. Louis every year.
And honestly, the venue there at US Bank, I think US Bank Ballpark there in Ozark is good. It's a great location as far as that. You have the Marucci Midwest facility right there off that. I mean, as far as that is concerned,
It seats a lot of people too.
it does. I mean, it's a
That's
good
a big
venue.
field. That's a big
It is a
park.
big field. And I mean, I only saw a couple of home runs hit out of it. It was,
I'm sure.
it's hard to poke one out of that park. But as far as that's concerned, that part of it there. And if you weekend, you have Branson right down there. I mean, if I'm playing kind of devil's advocate there and whatnot. So, I mean, in those respects, I think for us, St. Louis, Kansas City, it's a little further drive for us. And I agree with the thought process of middle of the state. I think it creates a more,
Convenient.
it is a little more convenient for everybody in that respect. And again, the same thing here with Carshield Field. You're talking St. Louis, nice area. Springfield is and Ozark from right there. It's 20 minutes to Branson. I mean, if you want to dare the traffic in Branson.
Right. But it's baseball guys. In general, baseball guys could help solve problems because they understand the aspect of when to schedule events, what baseball people want.
Well, and this is a great opportunity, and you don't want to miss this. We're going to have Kenny Seifert, Doug Fessler, I believe is his last name. I think that's pretty much on the show in December. We're going to have the panel here talking, asking questions. We're looking forward to that conversation because we want to see and have these and ask these same questions. I think it's fair. I think and I think Misha, from everything we've talked with Kenny, is very transparent and wants to have that opportunity. Yeah.
Kenny was great.
Yeah.
I mean, he answered everything. The fact that he was even willing to do it.
Right. And I think that's a start, don't you think, Coach?
Yeah, Fessler's coming to our coaches association clinic in January, and one thing he did say, he said, "I don't want to get bushwhacked."
And that's a fair point.
It is.
It's fair.
It really is, and I understand it. But I was talking to Bill Seaman, our exec director, about this, and he goes, "Yeah, I'm gonna set some parameters up before we get started on this one."
Nobody's.
I mean, it's not. I mean, it's good for him to show up. I mean, we're gonna have 300 high school coaches at this clinic, and to even know what the guy looks like,
Right.
I mean, we don't even. Nobody in St. Louis. I've never seen the guy.
Right.
But they do have, I was going to mention this, they do have an advisory board, and I was on that years ago when they went to the bonus days and got us some more games. I was on there, but Tim Thompson was the baseball guy then. Now, Tim Thompson was a baseball guy because he was the head coach of Jeff City at one time, and beautiful. I mean, he knew what we had to do. We just had to get the wording right, to get these things through. But they do have people throughout the state that are baseball people, but then it's so hard to get everybody together. I mean, now it might be a little different, with the Zooms and whatever, doing that kind of thing. I'm not sure how they do that, but they need to be out there and talking with the coaches. They're ultimately they're the guys that got to deal with everything. Some ADs are very involved, others are not. And some administrators, and not throwing any stones out there, but some administrators just don't want to come because they don't want to supervise. They don't want to spend 3 hours on a Saturday or 4 hours on a Saturday watching a game, but, that's part of their job because they got to have an administrator on site. So they, rain, great, that game's over. We're not making it up. That attitude's not good.
No.
I'm fortunate I have a baseball guy at my place, so.
And we all know this. We were talking about this before. Baseball's kind of that sport, I think even sometimes even maybe behind soccer in high school sports.
In St. Louis, maybe?
Yeah.
I think it depends on the school, but the downside of baseball is it's at the end of the school year. So you go to administrators. Some of them they're like, "Hey, man, I see light in a tubble. I'm bagging this."
Absolutely. Yep.
Seriously,
Yep.
it's
That's
for
what
football. It's at the beginning. Everybody's excited. Let's get out there. Let's do this. Soccer's same spot.
Right. Fall.
Basketball's in the winter. It's inside, so you don't have any issues. But I think when you get to, especially the middle of a baseball season, and it's okay, schedule crunch, rain out. How do we make this up? Do we do a doubleheader later? Do we do this? Do we bag it? Bag it. It's easy.
Yeah, they're going to cancel the freshman sophomore game.
Oh yeah, 100%.
You get rain there, they're most time they're not going to make it up. Plus, there's an umpire shortage.
Yeah, that too.
That's a problem with the high school. I know that. We need people umpiring. Wow.
See, look at all this. See what we're uncovering, man. We just keep digging it up, right? Because all of these are an effect. I think the interesting point you make is being at the end of the season. So you and to your point, these administrators, to keep baseball in front, they really have to be in it because they got track and field going on, right?
Or somebody's got to be a baseball person to actually have a passion and a care.
There it is. That's exactly right, because there's some coaches who don't really care. There's some coaches out there who just do it for the paycheck, and they don't really care about getting their games in and moving their kids on to college. I just spent all morning writing out preseason All-American and nominating guys for collegiate baseball. How many guys do that? And then they come up with the preseason All-American list, and sometimes my guys get in there. Well, how'd that happen? I go, I nominated them.
Right.
Right.
What's it hurt to nominate? All state, all conference. How do you get guys in there? I said, well, you nominate them. If you don't get in, you don't get in. At least you tried. You know?
If you believe that person, that player is worthy of that spot, why wouldn't you nominate him?
Even if he's not, he might slide in. You get your name out there and get your school's name out there, you're doing your job.
But it's effort. You care, you have effort to put towards the kids that you have, where, like you said, some of them just, I'll bag it for a couple years, I'll get that check, and I'm retiring, I'm out, or, I kind of know baseball, nobody else wanted it, I'll take it.
Mm-hmm. If you go to our coaches meeting, the last thing we do is each class gets together, and everybody's invited. We've got a vice president at each class. And that person runs the meeting, and we're talking about preseason rankings, basically what we're doing. But the guys that are at those meetings, because that's the last thing on Saturday night now, those are the guys that care. Class 6, we might have 15 dudes there. Before, we might have 3 or 4.
Wow.
I look over at class 2, 3, 4, 5. They got a lot of guys that are involved that care. They're younger dudes, most of them are, and then they get after it and they do care. Like we're talking about the effort. And you can tell the guys who care just by showing up at that meeting.
Yeah.
And with class 6 now, it's much more. The class 6 is really condensed because of the separation. The bigger schools. Do you think that's going to make an impact on these things you're talking about, Coach?
I just don't like the whole scene. With no sectional game, and you win districts, and you got a week off, and then you roll in and you play one game and try and get to the Final Four. I think that's kind of tough. I always go back to the thing I tried to do when I was on the advisory committee. Me and Tim Thompson were talking about this, trying to go to the pod thing like colleges, making, putting 4 teams in, double elimination, and you can get it done in 2 days. The guys win 2 games, it's over with. You move on to the next level. And then when you get to Final Four, you go single them. But they, all the principals and those kinds of people think that it's more games. And essentially, it's not.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
I would prefer that because I think it takes...
As a fan, right?
Well, yeah, but you also have to think, to get through districts, you need depth, right? Which is what you have for the whole season. You need depth for your season to keep guys healthy, blah, blah, blah. But once you get out of districts, you have one game. Mm-hmm. So you have one dude, like we said, one dude can get you to the finals.
Yes.
Because you win that game, you have time off, he wins game 1 of the semis, Now you're in the finals, and one guy got you there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the district's a little different, but, I mean, some of these, if you got to buy, did they get buys? I don't know if they gave buys. Did they?
No.
They didn't get buys.
We did not. Some did. Some only had 7 teams or say even 6
It just
teams.
depended on the amount of teams.
districts.
Right?
Yeah, the bigger schools, I think we all had 8, which
Yeah.
meant everybody had to play 3 games. Where before it was always 7.
So if you say 6 games total to win it, right? You had to win 6 games. 3 in your district.
4, 5, 6. Yeah.
I mean, one guy can win 3 of the 6.
But I think to your point, though, that sets in place really an opportunity to let the best teams, the teams with the most depth, those teams that are there, are they trying to equalize that thought process, you think, maybe with this format?
I don't think they even thought of that. I think they're thinking less games. How quickly can we get them there?
Yeah, and back to my point. I mean, I just it's the best team. You know, I keep saying best team, but that's the depth of the team. And like, you know, Matt was saying, it's like, you know, one guy can beat you. How many times did we deal with that before the pitch count stuff came in? The dude could throw as many and as often as he wanted to.
Right.
And there were those rubber arm guys who were marquee dudes who just go out there and shove every time they're out there. You know, and so those guys win. And I experienced that personally in a lot of different years of that kind of thing. But I think if you want a state championship, you want the team that is the best team. I mean, and it takes at least 3-4 arms, and it takes 9-10 guys that can hit. I mean, everybody contributing. I mean, that's a measure of your best team.
There you go.
3-4 arms. That's the kicker.
It's tough to have that many on a high school team, isn't it?
You can get it done with 3. It's tough. I don't know. I mean, if you only play 2 games in districts, you can get done with 3. But you're playing 3 games, you need more. I mean, and the better teams are usually pretty okay at the first game, but who knows? There's always those upsets. You know, you got a 1 seed versus an 8 seed. You know,
Or do you try to throw down to see
or
if
you throw
got-
off. Yeah, and that's always a gamble. But you know, it's
we were
rough.
talking about Westminster.
Yeah.
You know?
Westminster, a school that had one guy that
Nick
could get
Moten.
into the finals.
Yeah,
And yeah, he didn't come in until they were down, 5-6 rounds?
5-6 run, yeah.
Steve Collier, Zumwalt South, years ago, draft with made it up with big leagues with Dodgers. Didn't throw pitch in districts. Thank goodness.
Thank goodness.
I had a chance to close it up twice, and he didn't get him up. I'm like, we got a chance.
Okay, so we're going to finish up this segment. Let's talk a little districts here. Do you think? What do you think? Is it going to be? Do you think it's going to be the same thing? We're looking at this, and if we do see this same thing, what would you like to see change?
Well, I think he would know more than I if they're going to change it. I
don't think they'll
I don't know
change
why.
it. But the thing is, you know, they don't get the districts out until like the first week of the season.
Why is it so late, Coach?
Yeah, I get it and I understand it. I don't like it, but Michigan needs to figure out how many teams are going to offer a baseball team.
Oh, that's right. I think Kenny was talking about that last year.
So the
Yes.
numbers, and then figure out and it's all those guys that are in between, like, you know, a 5 and a 6, or a 4 and a 5, or 2 and a 3, and they're always on the bubble. And sometimes you're 2, sometimes you're 3. That makes a big difference to a smaller school. You know,
Absolutely.
They want to be in 2 because they know they can do well, and they get to 3, and then they don't do very well.
Right.
You know, I mean, I heard that from numerous coaches. You know, but they got to figure out how many teams. You know, they're going to field a team. You know, and then all of a sudden, well, like, you know, maybe they had COVID, maybe they got something going on, and
Sure.
the kids just don't want to come out. I don't know, understand that attitude, but I know it's out there, and that's just a rough thing. But when you get them in there, and the number wise, I mean, you know, we're going to have 8 times 8? Is that 64 teams? We're going to have 64 teams in Class 6. I could comfortably probably say that's going to happen again.
The schools that I think suffer for that is your Zumwalt East or Zumwalt South, the schools that are on the border, because you're mapping out a schedule, and if you're scheduling all Class 5 games outside of maybe a couple, and then they bump you up to Class 6.
It's a different world.
Right. Now, because you would think you'd want to play Class 6 non-conference games just so you're ready.
You see them.
But if they say, okay, you got to get moved up, Well, now we're going to play all
be in
Class
trouble.
5, and we're going to probably take a beating in
Right.
the playoffs.
Yeah, that's tough.
And I think that, so, but you have tryouts. Baseball tryouts start, the first week in March, right?
I think this year's February 28th is the first day. I think I saw that the other day.
Okay, we understand that, as you said, if you don't have enough guys come out, they can, and I don't know. And this is something I want to ask Kenny, if we're doing this, when is the date for you to report this information? Is there a specific date?
It's right after the first week, almost dead on.
Okay.
It comes on like the Tuesday, our second Tuesday we practice. And that's when it comes out. And that's been going on for about 3-4 years. And that's tough for us when we do preseason rankings because we don't know who's in what class or who's in what district. So we basically, preseason, we used to be able to do it, but now it's like we don't know who's going to be where. So it's like we do a preseason watch list, which essentially be your top 10. If somebody moves out and you just bump them down or whatever. But yeah, it's tough to do it, but big schools doesn't change too much. I mean, because they're
big schools.
Right.
Yeah.
We all know we're going to be big schools. I'd be sweating it if I got moved down. I wouldn't like that.
Last thoughts? Questions? Anything?
No, I mean, it's going to be, I'd like to keep it the same. I hope they keep it the same.
I do too.
Makes it easier for everybody.
I would be interested to see that pod thought process in the
Double
playoffs.
elimination.
I think that would be interesting.
Now that, I would like to see that different. The districts, I'm okay with being the same. Or at least who's in each class the same. If they change some district teams, that's fine. But the classes stay the same. Make it easier. But
I
if
agree.
the classes stay the same, I can't imagine them redistricting. Now you may want somebody different in your district.
It don't matter. Whoever gets out of our district, it has a chance.
So
Because they were all good.
yeah,
Just whoever's good that year.
which with only 64 teams, it's pretty much every district's like that now.
Yeah, yeah. I do want to say I think it's awful cool that Seifert and Fessler are coming in because that's something that doesn't really happen too much.
Right.
That I'm aware of.
Right.
I mean, and hopefully we can get to know these people and maybe trust somebody sometime.
And isn't that the goal as far as in these situations, if it's about helping the kids, right? If it's about
That should be the goal.
being proactive to these things, I think that measure and in my conversations with Kenny Seifert, who is the assistant executive director, he's always been very honest, and I think that's his goal. I think it is his goal to do that. Agreed?
Yeah, it should be.
So I'm looking forward to these conversations.
I am too.
We're going to bring some more back because there's some topics that popped up there that we're going to bring back, Coach, and we're going to sit and chat about and continue these conversations as we get closer to talking with Misha. And I love to, maybe I don't know, they might let me sneak into your January meeting, right?
Sure, come on.
I want to hear the buzz. What's going on, man? That'd be
Just
fun.
hang out in the hallway. You learn more there than anywhere else.
I said, who's the guy in the hallway, man?
Recording live from the hallway.
I learn more in the hallway than I do inside. A little more loose.
Oh, shoot. Guys, thanks.
Welcome.
Yeah,
Good
thank you.
conversation. Everybody, have a great day in the Lord. All you pitchers, keep throwing strikes, and you hitters,
Hit them where they ain't.
good advice. We'll see you next time.